What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and welcome back to another episode of the Premier League Perspective. Simeon, wipe that smile off your face. Wipe that smile off your face. The first Premier League Perspective where he's smiling, and I guess you can tell what's about to happen. But look, there's a lot of games to review, and we're also going to be going through the games that are happening this week and giving our predictions for them. But let's start off with, let me just tell you the scores on the doors at the moment are 31-36, 36-31 to myself. Just to remind you of how the scores work, it's 5 points for a correct scoreline and 1 point for a correct result. So it's 36-31 for me as it stands, and let's get straight into it. The Man City game, it finished 2-1 to Man City. I went 2-0. You went 3-1. So we're like bang in the middle. Literally it was close. So yeah, we both gained a point there each, so 37-32. What did you make out of the game?
I thought West Ham played pretty well, to be fair. I thought they acquitted themselves pretty well, and they were probably unlucky to lose. But Man City just on a roll at the moment. You can't stop them.
Train,
doesn't matter how they're playing or who they're playing against. They just keep rolling on with the win after win after win, and they're strolling to the title as it stands.
Are they on a record win run on the
not
Premier League?
Not a record, yeah. I don't think it's a record, but it's probably going to get there.
What are they on, like 20 wins in a row or something?
Not in the Premier League.
What are they on in the Premier League?
In the Premier League, it's done like 13, 14,
wow.
Something like that, yeah. So look, it might have been their 15th one in the Premier League, but I think in all competitions I know it's 20, but they're just on that complete run. It was the two centre backs that saved them this week, Diaz and Stones both scoring. I had Stones in my fantasy team.
I had Diaz.
Yeah, you had Diaz. There you go. But when Antonio equalised, didn't he? And you thought West Ham maybe could get something out of this game. And we needed them to lose. We really needed them to lose in this game if we had any shot of claiming back that top 4 spot. Yeah. And so I was a bit worried, but they did end up losing. But they'll probably take encouragement. They've taken a lot of pundits saying that even though they lost, they showed that they're top 4 material, even despite losing. And there's a good argument for that. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss.
The thing is with West Ham, they've got a lot of hard games coming up now in a run. So look, I don't think West Ham are going to finish top 4. I think they'll just about miss out, but you can't knock them this season. You really can't.
Yeah, the form they're in and what they're showing, and Antonio again. Proving to be a thorn in the side of the big sides seems to happen a lot with Antonio, but I think hopefully that loss can start a bit of a negative run for them. We have to hopefully, because we need to overtake them. And interesting enough, we actually come the weekend, we could even overtake them come the weekend.
We could. Well, let's
if things go our way.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very interesting how quickly things can turn.
All right, well, let's move on. West Brom against Brighton finished 1-0 to West Brom. You got that absolutely spot on. But I should have got it absolutely spot on. I predicted 1-1. You predicted 1-0. I mean,
should be like 4-1 to Brighton.
What a shit show that game was.
Unbelievable.
What a shit show.
Unbelievable. West Brom, that was a proper Sam Allardyce shithouse performance and win for West Brom. They took the lead very early on. You thought, okay, they're having a good game, and they've been in good form. They got a draw against United not long ago, and they got a 0-0 against Burnley with 10 men. So you're thinking they're digging in quite well, West Brom. And then they take an early lead. You think, okay, they're on for another good performance. And Brighton hit back. By the way, Brighton have had something stupid, like 60 shots in their last 3 games and hadn't scored 1 goal, which is ridiculous. But they missed 2 penalties. 2, they hit the bar. Gross hits the bar with the first one.
Danny Welbeck.
Welbeck hits the post with the second one. I think they're both. Yeah, they are both penalties. I think the referee got those both spot on, and so Brighton can't West Brom can't complain with them. The first one was a stupid handball. He's got his hand up there, and he had literally punches it away, and that was a definite penalty. And the next one,
those weren't even the biggest talking points of the game, though, were they?
Then the biggest talking point was just before half time with that free kick. What absolute idiot that bloody Lee Mason is.
A lot of people calling up TalkSport during the week asking him to retire, Lee Mason.
Oh, he's a terrible referee. There's actually a clip doing the rounds of Nuno complaining about him like a few weeks ago. He actually got fined for it, saying that he doesn't think Lee Mason is of the required standard to referee in the Premier League. Which he got, which the FA fined him for. But the events of this free kick were pure madness. They ask him basically to take it quickly. He says, "Yeah, sure, take it quickly." So they go fine. So Dunk takes it quickly, and then while it's mid-flight, he blows his whistle again. So he blows his whistle. He blows his whistle to let them take the free kick, and then while it's mid-flight, he blows it again for some unknown reason. No one knows why he blew it a second time, and then he disallowed the goal. And then they said, but you blew the whistle. And he was like, oh, yeah, I did blow the whistle. So he was like, all right, I'm going to allow the goal. And then he allows the goal. And then VAR has to tell him, but you blew it a second time before it crossed the line. He was like, oh, shit. And then he had to disallow it again. And no one knew what was going on. It was absolute farce. It was an absolute mad moment. And the referee was left with absolute egg on his face. Why he blew the second whistle is beyond me. Why he re-allowed the goal after disallowing it correctly, I don't know. He didn't know what he was doing. I think he forgot he blew it a first time, or maybe he forgot he blew it the second time.
Get this guy out of the
He doesn't know he doesn't know where or when he's blowing his whistle, apparently. So that was a ridiculous moment.
I mean, it's just bad decision after bad decision. The standard of refereeing in this league is just abysmal. Yeah, it really is.
When you think of like I was texting my friend yesterday. I was like, Lee Mason just has to stop refereeing. He's terrible. And then I was like, he's probably one of the worst. I was thinking, well, he's worse. And then there's also Mike Dean, who's become awful. He had 2 red cards overturned in a row. Then you're thinking, okay, he's bad. But there's also Graham Scott, who did that thing against Spurs, where he didn't overturn that foul, and he did another one not so long ago. I can't remember when it was.
The whole standard of refereeing in the whole Premier League.
Well, every referee I can't has been terrible.
Do you think VAR is showing up these refs even more now?
Probably, yeah. I think a lot of the time as well, these referees, for example, we'll get into the United game, but they don't want to reverse. A lot of the time, sometimes they don't want to reverse their decision because they want to. They kind of want to feel vindicated. They don't want VAR to be correcting them all the time, but VAR is showing them up.
But they know they're going to be bashed after the game, even worse if they don't reverse it. So
I know.
I mean, you know what I mean?
VAR is showing up, but then again, VAR is also can be a bit too nitpicky sometimes, which is my criticism of it. But I think VAR, these referees are making some seriously bad errors.
I personally think VAR is good. It's good for the Premier League. It's good for football. It's just the people implementing it don't know what they're doing.
I agree. That's the main problem. The main problem is they don't know how to use VAR correctly.
And that's been the problem from the beginning. I don't know if you remember at the World Cup, like the first week or so, the World Cup was a complete shit show. Last year's, was it 2018? And then I think referees started getting to grips with it a bit more, and then it got better and better throughout the tournament. But the Premier League, I mean, the refs just don't seem to be getting to grips with it.
Yeah, we need a higher standard referee. That's the truth, because these referees at the moment, they're just not up to it. They're not up to it.
All right, so after the second game, it is 37-all, 37 apiece.
Big result for me, that one. Big one.
Big one for you. I mean, it just shows these fine lines of the Premier League, man.
Look, I knew West Brom were going to win. It was obvious.
You knew they were going to miss 2 penalties. Yeah, you knew a bad VAR decision.
I knew it.
But look, Leeds Villa is the next game. Finished 1-0 to Villa. I went 2-all. You went 2-all. We both get 0 points there.
Win without Grealish. Yeah, win without Grealish for Villa. So very impressive on that front. Defensively solid. They had to rely on that. They nicked a goal through, I think Watkins got the assist. I can't remember who actually scored.
Yeah, I just put in Watkins in my team this week as well.
But they did nick a goal, and Leeds couldn't respond. Leeds are just one of those teams where they'll win one week and they'll lose the next week, and you can never really be too sure of what Leeds are going to turn up. And this time they weren't on top of their game. They weren't sharp. And once Villa got the goal, and they just held out for the win, and they've got a good defence, Villa. You know that, so you know when they take the lead, it's going to be tough to come back from that. And you have to work extra hard, and Leeds were just off it. So good win for Villa there.
Yeah, definitely. Newcastle Wolves finished 1-1. I went 1-0 to Wolves, and you went 1-1. So 5 points ahead now to Sim. 42-37 to Simeon. First time you've taken the lead since we've started this. So, what did you make out of this game?
Yeah, I was watching bits of it. I think both teams will be a bit disappointed that with the draw. Wolves more probably, especially because I know they got back in the game, but they dominated and they could have won it. They had a few chances later on to win it, but it was a good point for Newcastle. But Newcastle are in real trouble now because their biggest threat, say Maximam, is going to be out for a month. Almiron as well, one of the best attacking players, is going to be out for a month. Callum Wilson's already out until April, and they are sleepwalking to relegation. They really are. They're 3 points above Fulham with many games to play, so that's really not that much of a gap.
Where are the goals going to come from?
I can't see where the goals at all are going to, especially without say Maximam now. They're absolutely screwed. They're completely screwed.
You got to look at a few weeks ago. They were struggling to score even with Callum Wilson and what have you when St. Maximam was out. And now he's out again. I mean, look, I think it's curtains for them. I really
At the moment, I can't see how they save themselves.
Especially when you look at teams like Fulham and Brighton, who are really starting to play some football and get some results on the board as well.
Completely agree. And I feel bad for the Newcastle fans because this was so entirely predictable when Steve Bruce got appointed 2 years ago that at some point they might be in a position like this. And now here it is. Now here they are. I literally on the brink of, I would say, like virtually on the brink of relegation at this point. I know they're 3 points above it and they're not out in the relegation zone yet, but considering their injuries, their form as well, and their manager, I don't know. I just don't see how. Like Fulham obviously still need to turn it around, but that might also give West Brom hope.
I agree.
This form as well.
Yeah.
I know West Brom are still cut adrift with 9 points, but with so many games left, if they can string a one of 2-3 wins together, then you never know where they could be. Maybe they could also get themselves out of trouble.
As it stands right now, who would you say are going to get relegated this season?
I'm going to go West Brom, Sheffield United and Newcastle.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I agree there. But look, let's move on to the next game. As it stands, it's 42-37. Palace against Fulham. Finished 0-0. You went 2-1 to Fulham. I went 1-0 to Fulham. So again, I was a goal off.
Very close, that one. I didn't watch this game because
we were setting up for the Spurs game.
Yeah, we were watching Arsenal at the time. So I didn't see any of it. But Fulham are keeping up their good defensive record. Past few games, they don't concede many goals, and this is what I'm saying about the game midweek. However much we need to win, and it's imperative we do. Fulham are going to be a tough nut to crack. They really don't concede many goals, and they've got very, very physical players as well at the back now. So it's going to be a tough game, and it's a decent point. But Fulham getting a good performance, but no win.
Yeah, I mean I mean they're drawing a lot of games.
That's the problem for them. But a draw's no good for us, on Thursday. We need to beat them, so it's going to be a tough game.
Look, you got to commend the job Scotty Parker's done there, because in the first month or two of the season, everyone said these lot are going down, and now they've got a bit of hope. So
a lot of hope, I would say now, considering Newcastle's form.
Let's move on. Leicester against Arsenal. We both went for Leicester wins. We both went for 2-0 to Leicester. Arsenal won 3-1 without Aubameyang and Saka.
Impressive win.
Yeah,
it was an impressive win. I think Leicester did look completely on their feet for especially in the second half. They did take the lead after it was really poor defensive play by Arsenal, just letting Tielemans run all the way through and score without challenging him once. And you thought, it could be a long day for Arsenal, but then they did turn it around really impressively. When they equalised, it was completely deserved. From a set piece, David Luiz with the equaliser, and it was not against run of play at all. Arsenal dominated possession, and although a lot of teams dominate possession against Leicester because that's how they like to play, but Arsenal were looking creative and they looked threatening, and then they got a ridiculous penalty on the stroke of half time. I thought, not ridiculous in the sense that it wasn't a penalty, just ridiculous. Like, what is Indeed doing? This guy is one of the best defensive midfielders in the league, and he's got his arms like that, like blocking a cross. Like it was a really poor piece of play from Indeed. So they kind of won a penalty that way. Went 2-1 up, and Leicester struggled to respond. And as soon as Harvey Barnes went off injured, which is a big blow for them, he looks like he's going to be out for a while. They kind of lacked any sort of threat. Vardy couldn't get involved in the game. Tielemans was lacking in influence, and with no Maddison, they really lacked a lot of creativity and a lot of guile on the ball. And then you look at their team with all the injuries they have, and you're thinking maybe Leicester are going to start falling like they did last season.
I think the implosion, we've really started seeing this Leicester implosion now. Obviously, going out the Europa League to Slavia Prague was a disgrace in itself for them. And then they go to lose to Arsenal like that, with Maddison and Harvey Barnes out. That's basically their whole creative repertoire. This
is the problem when you're a team like Leicester, when you're resting players for Slavia Prague. Leicester are not a kind of club who can just chuck the Europa League away like it's nothing. When I know they've they won the Premier League not long ago, but winning a European title for a team like Leicester would be massive. And you're drawing 0-0 from the first leg, and you're resting players for the second leg, as if it's just a given that you're going to win. I thought that was really poor by Rodgers. I know maybe the team's lacking in a bit, but they lost this game anyway against Arsenal, and that's the risk you run when you're resting players in such important games. I can understand if they won the first leg against Slavia, but they didn't. So I thought they had to go for the full strength team. They rested, they lost, and then the problem is if you lose that game, you get on a bad feeling and momentum and confidence. These all play factors in a team in the results you get. And confidence must have been really low after losing to Slavia, and that definitely bed into that game against Arsenal. And as soon as they started losing, there was only one winner in that game.
I don't think they're going to make top 4 this season. I really don't.
The only thing that's in their favour is they've got such a big gap, but things can change very, very quickly. They got
it's not that much of a gap.
They got from us, it's like 10 points, which is a decent gap. But yeah, look, they've got Burnley in midweek, and then they've got on the weekend they've got a tough game against away to Brighton. So that's not a given.
If they have a couple of bad results in a row now, things can change very quickly.
I think their last 3 games they got like City,
they got us last game,
and Spurs and United as well. I think
Chelsea as well, maybe,
or maybe Chelsea, one of those. But anyway, they got some really tough games coming up, and the injuries they have, they could really be on their feet, out on their feet really in terms of the depth. They're really stretched, so you could see how tired they were against Arsenal. So we'll see how it goes. But in terms of Arsenal, let's hope it was just a one-off.
Yeah, I mean, it was Willian's first good performance of the season.
Yeah, it was a good win. I think off the back of the win against Benfica, I think they were on a high off that as well. So fair play to them, resting players as well. But I think they had a lot more energy than Leicester. That's what won them the game. And Leicester really are on their feet. So.
Yeah. Spurs against Burnley, 4-0 to Spurs. The return of Gareth Bale. He's back, baby. You went 3-0. I went 2-0. You were a goal off.
Very close. Oh, if only Bale had hit the post and gone out instead of gone in. But anyway, I'm happy. It was a great win. Great performance and fully deserved. We have to take this into the Fulham game. Yeah,
100%. Chelsea against Man U. You said 1-1. I said 0-0. It finished 0-0. That was an obvious one, though. It really was.
I should have put it to 0-0. Yeah, I know. I thought maybe there'll be a couple of goals they won. There should have been really at least one, because that penalty from Hudson-Odoi in the first half I thought was a definite penalty, given the penalties have been given this season.
Why was that not given?
The referee decided that because Hudson-Odoi didn't move his hand towards the ball, it wasn't a penalty for some reason, although his hand was up there and he kind of, not intentionally, but he did move it away from Greenwood. So I think it's got to be a penalty in that situation. I think it has to be. I think he's a lucky boy, Hudson-Odoi, that it wasn't penalised. But having said that, it was a ball draw. Real ball draw.
As I said in the Predict the Prem video that we did last week, I said Chelsea is just so boring to watch, and it just proved me even more right this week.
Yeah, and it was a good point for us because, both dropping points, so we gained a couple of points on both teams, and hopefully we can start eating away at that lead that they have. All
right, so at the moment it is 44-43 to you. I mean, this week there was a lot of chopping and changing and going back and forth, but let's finish off with the last 2 games of the weekend. Sheffield United against Liverpool, 2-0 to Liverpool. You got that absolutely spot on. I went for 2-1, and I really thought Sheffield United should have nicked a goal at some point in there.
They nearly did at some point, but unfortunately they weren't good enough to do so. And Liverpool, they deserved the win. I thought Ramsdale made a lot of saves. He really did, a lot of crucial saves, especially in the first half. And then they did get a bit of luck with the first goal, because a lot of the Sheffield United defenders thought the ball went out, but he actually kept it in, Trent. So he did well to do that and get them the first goal. A lot of the Sheffield United players seemed to stop because they thought he didn't keep it in. And then there was only one winner from that point on, and they deserved the victory. But then again, it's only Sheffield United, so you can't read too much into it. But a good win for Liverpool, and especially with the clean sheet, that actually gave them confidence, considering they had Kabak and Phillips as the 2 centre-backs with no Henderson.
Well, actually, Klopp seemed to change up his tactics a bit during this game. I don't know if you noticed, but Trent wasn't given the licence to go forward too much. He was coming into a back 3 like we do with Davis, but on the other side, and Robertson was just pushed up on the whole left side the whole time. So yeah, it kind of worked for them, didn't it? Robertson was a thorn in their side pretty much most of the game, and Trent played well as well. So you got to give Klopp credit for changing it up, because it hasn't been working for them recently.
Yeah, but yeah. No, for sure, and it was a good win. Sheffield United have got some unsurprised results before, so that you can't take them lightly. But there'll be bigger tests for their defence than the Sheffield United forward line.
All right, and the last game of the weekend was Everton against Southampton. Finished 1-0 to Everton. I went 1-1, you went 2-2. I mean, in this game, I thought Everton deservedly so took the lead, but I thought probably 20 minutes to go, it was all Southampton, and they really should have got a goal.
They're now on 8 defeats out of 9.
I know, it's mental.
8 defeats out of 9.
mental.
That is, and this is the manager a lot of Spurs fans will say could be in contention to replace Jose, but it pretty much coincides with that 9-0 defeat, doesn't it, with Man United not so long ago, and since then it's been a real downer. Whereas last season when they lost 9-0, they kind of hit back strong and went on a good run. Seems to have hit them for confidence this year.
Well,
and
they actually started the bad run before that, didn't they?
A bit, yeah. It was a bit before that, but the 9-0 has definitely not helped in that sense. And they've pretty much fallen like a stone. And all of a sudden, actually, some people are saying they could be in trouble for relegation. They're 14th. They're currently 7 points clear of the drop. But with a run like 8 defeats in 9.
I think Newcastle might just save them from that.
I think so. I can't see Newcastle getting more points than Southampton from now to the end of the season. I think injuries as well is really hurting them. Walker Peters being out, he's such a big element to the way they play. Ings and Shea Adams haven't really found that partnership they had at the beginning of the season. And the problem with them is, because they're such an attacking team, they don't rely on their defensive solidity to kind of get them through games. They're a very gung-ho team. They pretty much play 4-2-4 each game.
Yeah.
So when it's not clicking up front, you know that you're always going to get chances against them. You know you're always going to get a chance to score, and that's what's happening at the moment. They're conceding so many goals, and their attack isn't firing. So at the moment, they're just dropping like a rock. And if they don't turn it around soon, maybe they could be in trouble for relegation. But I think they did it well enough early in the first half of the season that they should be okay. But it's worrying times for Southampton.
It's mad because a few months ago people were saying, could they challenge the top 4? Could
They
they
were.
challenge the top 6?
I remember not so long ago they had like a couple games in hand even to go top. Go top of the league, and but
I think that was only about 5 games into the season or something.
No, it was further in. It was like 12 or 13 games in or something. They could have gone top, but yeah, that was obviously never going to last. But this kind of form is horrific, and Hassan Hüttl's probably under serious pressure at the moment to turn it around.
I don't think he'd be fearing for his job just yet.
Not yet, but 8 defeats in 9 that's really bad.
Yeah.
That is really bad.
All right. Yeah. So that's it.
And I've been talking about Everton as well. They're now 4 points clear of us, same games played. They're in real contention for top 4.
Yeah,
and considering they have no Europe as well, the key for Everton is just keeping that first 11 together, because I don't think I think we have a stronger squad than them, and I don't think they have the best squad. But as long as they have Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin there, they've always got a chance of nicking a result.
It's a weird one with Everton because away from home they're class. They're absolutely really good, but at home they seem to be dropping a lot of points at home.
I don't think that's just a problem with Everton. I think there's probably been a record amount of away wins, haven't there?
There has. But I think that it's a weird one. Why are teams better away from home than they are at home?
Probably no fans.
Yeah, but why? I don't understand, because you don't have the fans at home, you don't have the fans away, so surely it should be the same.
Yeah, but I think it's when you're comparing it to when there are fans, the away wins are always going to go up, because when there are fans, there's the extra motivation and the extra support for the home team to push on and get the result. But when you take that element away, it's always going to increase the amount of away wins there are, because they're less overawed, and there's less intense atmosphere for the away teams. So I think that's always going to be the effect, that the away team's always going to start getting more results.
But Everton is a bit more than that, because Everton are like, I think they're in the top 3 or top 4 for away wins, away form this season. They're like 14th or 15th for the home form this season.
That's a bit extreme, yeah. That is a bit extreme. But they did win at home yesterday. It was at home. It was a good win for them.
It was.
And we just got to hope that they start. Also, they got a few tough games to come, so hopefully they can drop a few points, because they're well in it. They're 2 points off top 4 at the moment.
Do we still have to play them this season?
Yeah, we have to play them at Goodison. So hopefully we can. We
got some revenge on them this season.
Hopefully.
We need to lay some on them.
Agreed.
But look, that is the end of the Premier League Perspective. The scores at the end of this episode is 49-44. The first time Simeon leads at the end of an episode.
I knew it was going to happen.
It's
always going to happen at some point.
Let's look at the predictions for this week, as it's my turn to get back into the lead. First game this week is Man City against Wolves tonight at the Etihad. What are you going for?
2-0 City.
Oh, I've gone 2-0 as well.
2-0 City, there you go. That's the score. Yeah, because I think they just about scraped it past West Ham. I think Wolves won't be as much of a threat going forward, and they still should get a couple of goals. And they rested a couple of players as well. Got Foden to come in and Sterling, and they didn't play on the weekend.
I mean, Man City can play different 11s and batter everyone in this league.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I mean, Wolves, they're not scoring a lot this season. I haven't been impressed with Wolves pretty much all season. So yeah, that's why I've gone 2-0 Wolves, and Man City's defence is like near impenetrable at times.
Clean sheet for them.
Burnley against Leicester. I have gone 0-0.
I was flirting between 0-0 and 1-0 Burnley. And
I've
gone
1-0 Burnley.
I've gone 1-0 Burnley. I've got the firm to nick a goal, nick the win, especially after the performance they put in against Spurs. I think they're going to want a reaction to that. They Sean Dyche will know that's nowhere near good enough. And they're actually as well not so far from relegation as things stand. They're only 5 points clear, so they're going to want to definitely have that extra motivation to pull themselves away from that fight. And Leicester, with all the troubles they have, I think they're the worst. Burnley are kind of the worst kind of team Leicester want to be facing now.
Yeah.
They don't want to be, because when they have Vardy in their team as their main attacking source, they need him having runs in behind, and he just can't do that against the Burnley side who are going to sit deep and frustrate them. So I back Burnley to get a goal from somewhere, and I think they're going to frustrate Leicester, so I've gone 1-0 Burnley.
Yeah, I've got 0-0 for pretty much the same reason. I just don't think Burnley will get that goal. I just think it'll be a stalemate. I think Leicester will set up quite defend. I think they're both going to be kind of waiting for each other to come forward and hit each other on the break, and I just think it'll be a bit of a game of cat and mouse, and I think it'll be 0-0. Okay. Sheffield United Villa.
I've gone for 1-0 Villa.
So have I.
You also 1-0 Villa. Okay. Yeah, because no Grealish for Villa. He's been ruled out already for a second time. Sheffield United aren't the most attacking team in terms of they don't really get many goals. I back Villa to just nick one from somewhere and keep a clean sheet, and that's why I've gone 1-0. Yep,
pretty much the same reasoning. Palace Manchester United. I have gone for 2-1 to Man U.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah. Me
Classic.
too, 2-1 Man United. Part of me also actually thinks Palace won't score because Zaha's out and they have a few other injuries. But I reckon they'll nick one from somewhere. But United will probably have too much for them. So
yeah,
I've gone 2-1.
I could see them getting a penalty or getting some sort of goal from a free kick or something. I can see Palace nicking one. But Man United, they're looking good sometimes at the moment.
And also Palace just aren't looking great at the moment. They're losing a lot of games.
Man United's away form will pull them through as well.
Yeah.
Fulham against Spurs. I've gone
2-1 Spurs.
2-1. I've gone 2-0.
2-0. You got clean sheet. I hope you're right. But I feel like Fulham, good team. They've got a lot of threats going forward. So I think they might bag a goal from somewhere, but hopefully with the confidence of that 4-0 win, we can get a couple.
Yeah, I think the confidence got to be. Is that stopped?
No, still there.
I think the confidence has got to be seeping through Spurs now. 4-0 wins. I mean, last two games, I know one was against Wolfsburg and one was against Burnley, but 8 goals, no goals conceded as well. So I think that if you cast your mind back when we were keeping clean sheet after clean sheet, I've got a feeling we're going to go on a bit of a run like that again now. So I'm going 2-0 to Spurs.
2-0.
And hopefully Gareth Bale can get another goal as well. So
I hope you're right.
West Brom against Everton. I have gone 1-0 to Everton.
I've gone 1-1.
1-1.
I've gone West Brom to nick a point. West Brom in good form. I know they got lucky against Brighton, but the result will definitely give them confidence. Sam Allardyce knows what it takes to get a team to fight to stay up, and I think they're going to do that. I don't think Everton. I know. Look, Everton are a good team. They're definitely a good team, but I think you can frustrate them, and I think you can definitely if you can stop their two main players. They got a draw against Man United not so long ago, so I think, and they could have even won that game. So I think West Brom are going to. I think Diagna, by the way, he's been very good for West Brom.
He has. He gets a lot of chances.
Yeah, he does, and he's been very impressive. So I back them to get a goal. And I reckon Sam Allardyce will get them defending well. So I got them 1-1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty dire game, this game, Everton, West Brom at the Hawthorns. But I think Everton's away form has just been really good this season. I think they're beating more or less most teams away from home. And I don't think this will be any different. I think West Brom, they'll set up to frustrate Everton. I think it could be going 0-0 into the last embers of the game, but I think Everton might just nick this one.
Mm-hmm.
Last game of the week is Liverpool against Chelsea. Big game at Anfield.
I've gone 1-0.
1-0. I've gone 1-0 Chelsea.
1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah. Well, my reasoning for that is that I think Liverpool are very hot and cold. I think sometimes they're looking good against the kind of average teams, but I think they're coming up against the Chelsea side now, who really set up well, who really set up to frustrate, who really are kind of just a really boring side, just passing it around. It could be 0-0 this game. I originally had 0-0, but I changed it last second to 1-0 Chelsea, like they beat Atletico Madrid 1-0. They just nicked it. I just got a feeling Chelsea just might nick this one 1-0.
I think both teams are going to want to win this one. I think Liverpool know that they need to start picking up big results from somewhere. So I think they will get a goal from somewhere, Liverpool. I know Chelsea have been defending well, but they haven't had as big a threat as Salah, Mane and Firmino yet. So I reckon they, especially the way they play with the back three, there's definitely a lot of space on the sides for Salah and Mane to definitely exploit down there. So I think they will get a goal, but I think Chelsea will have the confidence to grab one back, especially with the defence of Liverpool. So I think it's going to be 1-1.
They're just not conceding many goals at the moment, Chelsea.
They're not.
They're really not, are they?
They're not, but once they start conceding a few, you might see a bit of a snowball effect. So
yeah, maybe.
We'll see, but I've gone for 1-1.
All right, so there you have it. That is our Premier League's perspective, and the Premier League predicts. The scores as it stands are 49-44 to Sim. He finally took the lead over me, but don't you worry, because the lead is coming back, swinging.
3 correct results. That's the
back.
most in 1 week, right?
Huh?
3 correct results in 1 week.
Yeah, it must be. I think I got 2 in 1 week. I think that was my max. But yeah, I mean, I told you I'm coming back for it this week. This week is going to be mine, and I'm going to be leading you at the end of this week. We'll bring you back another episode of the Premier League's Perspective on Friday. Thanks a lot for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.